see if we're live on. Are we live on? No, we're not live on RtA. What happened?
I don't think we've ever been live on RtA.
Yes, we were. Jesus Christ.
Okay. Cheese and rice.
RtA magazine. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't go live. Unless, there we go. Okay, now we're live on RtA. All right, cool. Hey, folks, we're back. We're supposed to have a special guest this week, but he's futzing around inside, so this is going to be interesting. I don't have my I don't have all my equipment with me, so he has to use a separate device. So he's going to be on his tablet, probably sitting across from me, with his headset and everything. And I'm going to be over here, and Jackie's over in Colorado. So this should be interesting. Hey, look at that! Aaron Two Chicks has entered the chat.
What's up, girl?
So, hey, don't worry about it, Aaron. This is actually only our second attempt going live, so you haven't missed much. You only missed one. So yeah, as usual, while we wait for our special guest to drag his butt back outside the house, and for those of you on Scrambling U who may be catching us for the first time here, we are RtA Radio. I'm Silas, that's Jackie, and we also put out a little publication, monthly easy. What was that? A monthly e-zine called Road to Autonomy magazine. And this is our podcast that goes along with that. And usually we do a pre-show, a post-show, and an actual podcast. But now, thanks to our buddy at Scrambling U, we also live stream. And what is it? Food Forest Farms? I think we're supposed to pimp Food Forest Farms. That's what he wanted us to. That was the only request he had for us using his StreamYard, was for us to pump Food Forest Farms. So I'm going to say Food Forest Farms as many times as I can before I get tongue-tied. And
That's my coffee guy. He's excellent coffee, y'all. If you need like some serious good coffee, check out Food Forest Farms, foodforestfarms.com, and get some delicious freaking coffee.
I'm gonna have to get some of that sent to New York so I can pick it up the next time I'm there. And I'll definitely get it sent to there for when I take off for a month and a half. But I always forget that I carry a French press with me, like one of those little mini camping ones. So as long as I heat the water, I could do the French press thing, and then I don't have to pay for all the coffee I spend ungodly amounts of money on the road. So all right, our special guest has arrived. Sir, I had to send you a link on Telegram since Signal doesn't work on my phone. Do you have Signal? Do you have Telegram on there that you can grab the link? Okay. All right. So we're going to be joined in a little while by a special guest.
It is super good coffee, Aaron. You are not lying. It's delicious. And I want to try your broth.
Well, that's what I had when I came to visit you the other day, wasn't it? So
yes,
it was pretty. I don't know what it was. It was pretty good.
FTO blonde roast espresso.
Oh, there you go.
It was delicious.
John, my buddy John is looking. Device is not connected. Well, he can't hear us or see us. Well, I'm hoping he can hear us or see us. What's up, Johnny? I see you joined us, or at least you followed the link. All right, and here we go. Oh no, there's going to be an echo.
We got an echo.
I can fix all echoes.
Okay. I don't know.
Are you still getting an echo?
Yeah, I can hear you. Maybe you'll have to go inside.
Yeah, maybe I will. But you have that loud voice.
I thought you had a mic too.
Well, I do. The mic should be working internally, so I'm not sure. Is it?
Right. Yeah, I can't hear myself anymore. So here we go. So yes, folks, we are joined this week. Although there's a lot of noise in the background. Yeah, those headphones are noisy as all get out, man.
How about now? I just shut off everything, so hopefully it's quiet enough.
Well, yeah.
Is it still noisy?
Well, it's just you don't like whatever mic you're using is not working.
Son of a bitch. Okay, let me.
You're picking it up off the tablet, so
That really sucks. Hold on a second. I could probably fix that. Let's see.
well, now you just went muted, so that's not going to help. Anyway, so that was our special guest. So the audio quality may not be the greatest this week, but whatever. I'm currently in Arizona and visiting our friend Jason Henza, so he said he would hop on with us today. Normally, I mean, I used to always carry my mixer and stuff with me. If I'd done that, this would have bought. Yeah, it's the same.
No, I didn't change anything. I just I thought you were going to bring me in, so I just went ahead and I'll mute. I'll mute and try again.
It's all good, man. Yeah, if there's a mic on those headphones, it's not picking that up. It's picking it up off the tablet, so it's like just going like a regular laptop. So it picks up all the sound in the background plus an echo.
Oh, it really sucks. No, it's actually on the. It's on this. It's reading it, saying that this is the mic that's active.
Okay, well, we're just gonna have to deal with a little extra sound then this week, I guess.
Erin says it sounds okay on her end.
Oh, okay. Well, I hear it. It drives me nuts. But anyway, so yeah. So what's up, Henza? as you're now on the other side of the house from me.
Yeah, life's going on. Just kind of hanging out in Arizona right now.
It's so nice to see you. I haven't seen you in forever. Hi.
Hi, Jackie.
Maybe if you could turn your volume down a little bit, Henza, your microphone volume, because it's very, very loud. I don't know.
He yelled at me for the same thing.
See if we could
we're working on it. Like, I'll get back into settings if I can and try to
disappear. All right, we'll figure it out. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm here in lovely Arizona, and Henza was nice enough to let me swing by his dad's place and park outside last night, throw us a power cable, got to use the shower. It's been nice, Makes up a little bit for the fact that I got stuck in California for 3 days and they just couldn't get me out of there, so I just gave up.
Yeah, fuck California.
Yeah, it was horrible.
That place is terrible.
So,
all right, well, we're gonna have to go with poor audio quality with my other mic set. Sorry.
It's
go ahead and unplug this bad boy and work with it.
It's all right. The people that are watching live are saying it sounds okay on their end, so we'll deal with it.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, we'll just dump it in. If everyone's liking it on there,
well, that's actually better. The sound quality is a little worse, but there's not the echo and the loudness there and the buzzing with that thing that you were just using.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's much better. That's much better. Let's rock with that. All right.
We'll just rock like this.
That's much better. All right. So yeah, man. So this is our show. I think this is the first time we've had you on here, man. I mean, had you on the Seeds of Liberty way back when? I think that was before you. Yeah. I think it was before you got shot.
Yeah.
For anybody who's watching and doesn't know, our friend Henza here is infamous. He was one of the stars of the HBO docuseries The Anarchists.
That never sits well with me.
I know.
It's all the time. So I was just a subject in a documentary, and I get it all the time whenever they write articles or whatever about you. They call you the star and this and that, and it's so awkward.
Listen, brother, when you get shot 3 times and survive and make international news, and then they make an international, they basically make a HBO docuseries about your experience, it's gonna happen. It's kind of hard to avoid that.
Yeah, that's true. That is very, very true.
Just like when I made news all those years ago, it's kind of hard to avoid it that people know my name and know what that means.
I had to sit you down and ask you how to deal with all that before the docuseries came out, and
man,
some pretty solid advice there.
Yeah, you just roll with it, man. I mean, what are you gonna do? There's the internet's forever, so I mean, I don't remember if I've discussed this on this podcast, but I know I've done it on others before. Like, I actually went and tried to have my name scrubbed. Because there's companies out there that's what they do. You pay them money and they scrub your name from the internet. And I was told in no uncertain terms from the 3 biggest ones, every single one of them, once I got to talk to somebody live and have a conversation with them, And every one of them was like, all right, well, these are our plans, and these are the levels, and like, you could pay this and this happens and this. Let's run your name and see what happens. Every one of them, when they ran my name, they said, oh shit. They're like, we can't. One of them was like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I could tell you to pay for our biggest package, but even then, I can't guarantee that this is going to be scrubbed, man. He's like, you're everywhere. The first 7 Google pages of results are all bad shit about you. He's like, I don't think we could do this. So I was just like, all right, I'm stuck with it. Whatever.
I know exactly what you're talking about, man. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So yeah. So anyway, so this I don't know what Jackie's doing over there. She's looking off in the distance, and
I'm
very quiet.
I'm trying to open up the magazine and stuff. Just I don't know what this issue's about or this episode's about, so I'm trying to get prepared.
Well, this is episode 28, which is going along with issue 35 of the magazine, which is strategizing your way towards autonomy.
Oh, good. Then I'm being prepared. I'm opening up this month's magazine.
I don't know if that was the official title, but that's basically the gist of it. It was basically because a bunch of us have joined. Well, we did for a while. Then Jackie had to bow out because of work conflicts. But a chess class hosted by one of our past contributors and friend of the show, Danilo Cuellar. And it kind of went hand in hand. Where I'm learning all about strategies and tactics in chess, and it was like, well, we kind of have to do that type of thing in life too. And so why not roll with that? It's a topic we haven't, I guess we've covered in a roundabout way, but that was the main topic. But like I told Henza before, we don't necessarily have to stick to the topic. I mean, we'll try to a little bit for the podcast itself, but here we're just bullshitting and putting out a special treat for anybody who happens to catch us live, which doesn't always work. One of these days I'll have everything figured out where I can have it running to all the pages we want it to run, so more people will hopefully see this live. But this was kind of a rush job. It was kind of like, hey, we have some time, you want to do this today? Yeah, let's get it done. So any hoodle,
I like it.
Yeah, so that's the main topic for this episode and issue of the magazine, which we once again are nearing I guess the end of year 3, the start of year 4. We got one more episode. Yeah, one more issue after next month issue. So 2 issues from now, we will be at the beginning of year 4.
That's my longest job I've ever had in my entire life.
I used to be able to say that about most things until I ran my pet sitting business for like a dozen years. It's like, now I got to go farther than that.
12 years. Can you imagine the magazine in operation for 12 years? That looks amazing. You look amazing, Henza. Holy moly. I haven't seen you in I don't know how long. You look great.
Yeah, I think the last time we saw each other, I think it was at a Vanu Fest, maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
That sounds right. Yeah. How are you doing?
Well, doing pretty good. I'm stuck in the States right now. I'm taking care of my dad. He got the jab and all that stuff. And yeah, in my from my observation, it looked like it went downhill after the jab, and and everyone's gonna have to go through this eventually, all that other kind of stuff. So I'm stuck in the States, taking care of my pops. My sister's here helping me as well, and she's doing an amazing job. Just absolutely impressing the crap out of me about how much she can handle during all this kind of situation. And for now, for the foreseeable future, I'm stuck here in the States, just trying to make ends meet. Maybe selling some TV subscriptions or something. I don't know. We'll see how all that works out going forward and all that stuff. And yeah, just kind of floating around.
That's awesome. Well, welcome back to the States.
Oh, now. God. Yeah, you cross the border and you gain 10 pounds. It's like the food is so sweet and fattening here. It's like you just can't help it. I came up here, I was 180. I was here for a week, and my dad goes, "How much do you weigh?" And I'm and I step on a scale. I'm like, Jesus. It was an immediate 10 pounds. It was nuts.
He says this, but it was his idea last night to go out and get Dairy Queen blizzards. So,
I eat those too.
Yo, win in Rome, man. Win in Rome.
Well, yeah, like I always eat those in Mexico. It's like that's never stopped anything. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about the state. Maybe it's the PUFOs or something like that. The food's just kind of crazy up here.
I think probably you're not having as much fiber, man. Beans down there have some serious fiber.
Well, I typically just do sugar and meat, a recipe to create cancer, but yeah, my body doesn't really like too many carbohydrates. Doesn't really like legumes and starches and stuff like that. It just tells me no, you're just not eating that stuff anymore.
Oh man, I'm hoping age does that to me too, so that I can stop.
Throttle off that stuff.
Yeah, my body tells me it doesn't like a lot of things, but I don't usually listen, unfortunately. Like yesterday, Henza and I went out to eat, and it's like, oh yeah, let's just go get some wings or something. And then I was like, oh, but there's buffalo fries too. Maybe I should have some of those first. And then after I was done, I was like, why am I ordering wings too? I don't know, but all right, whatever.
Yeah, I looked at those fries and was really tempted. I just knew it just wasn't going to work. My back was going to make me pay for it.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we should probably actually, well, we should probably talk about the TV thing too at some point, and then we could pimp it out for both of us, since I'm supposed to be doing something with that too. But then of course there's also the other, well, at least for now, the other exciting news is you got yourself another doggo.
Oh
yeah. Who unfortunately
for everybody who wants to follow her on Twitter, it's mad_Donna_. So it's Madonna.
Yeah.
She's a sweet girl. Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's very cute. She's very sweet. Unfortunately, we've not been able to get her and Van Doggo to play together yet. She's a little standoffish with other dogs.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem as bad as Sammy was, but yeah, we haven't really. We probably should have tried to get to the dog park when earlier, when it might have been empty, and then we could have tried to let them run together at the same time and see what happens. But
yeah, that's true. But like we got doing things.
Yeah,
I can't wait to meet her, man. I bet she's just a sweetheart.
Oh, she's a little. She's like a pocket bully. She's about the size of a pocket bully. She's like a little chunk, and she looks like a mix between a bulldog and a boxer.
Oh my god! I bet
brindle coating. She's beautiful.
Yeah, she's a black brindle, little pudge. But yeah, she's very cute, and she's with people. She's great. I mean, she met me, and right away she's trying to climb in my lap and like lick my face and stuff.
Oh my god! I can't wait to meet her. Sammy and I were buddies, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, so I adopted an 8-year-old dog from the local rescue here in Tucson. My dad was a trooper that day, kind of forced me out of the house to go and adopt this dog and kind of get back into dog ownership like I was with Sammy back in the day.
Oh, good. You and Sammy were like ham and cheese, man. So I'm happy that you got another little gal pal.
Yeah, Sammy actually got famous before I did, which is actually hilarious.
Pretty much how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. You throw a dog profile up on Twitter, and people will just follow you instinctively. And then when everybody found out that poor Sammy was dying, they were like flooded to her. They flocked to her.
Yeah, she absolutely blew up after that. So that was awesome.
Aww.
Well,
so sweet.
If I announce on my Twitter profile that I'm dying, people might flock to it, but just to like mock me, and be like, "Yay! Finally, this son of a bitch is leaving."
Got to be cute first.
We gotta get rid. Yeah, well, what can I say? I got a face for radio.
Don't we all? But there is no radio anymore. I don't know if anybody's realized that. We're all out streaming, doing this stuff.
I still listen to radio occasionally, but not that much.
Man, that's why I run a magazine. I stay all kinds of way.
So. Anywho, let's see. So we've only been streaming for about 20 minutes, so we'll probably we'll get into the podcast in a little bit. But yeah, I think before we do that, we'll talk since this like I explained to you, Henza, this is the pre-show, so the people that are catching this live can catch this, but everybody else.
Yeah, you guys have me in a rare moment, where you can ask me about police chases, border crossings, all kinds of stuff that a lot of people don't know that exists. because they completely left it out of the docuseries.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think we'll save that for the like some of that stuff. I want to save for the actual podcast because I want more people to be able to hear that.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's
I got
very strategy. It's very like this month's theme. So yeah, for
So,
sure.
but I guess before we get into the show, whoever is watching right now, we'll get a treat. We'll talk about the TV stuff you're talking about because I'm supposed to be doing that with you too. I just haven't.
Yeah,
bothered to
no,
look
I
into
mean,
it.
take it
So-
all yours, man. Go ahead.
No, you're the one who knows about it, man. So why don't you tell our audience all about that?
Oh, so there's a underground TV streaming service that offers 5,400 channels, pay-per-view, all that other kind of crap. And Jeremy can lead you right towards it. All you got to do is just hit him up on any of your favorite messaging apps through the magazine, however you want to do it. Ask Jeremy, and he'll get you set up.
Yeah, it's
Alright.
pretty good deal. I mean, heck, just watching all of this. You can watch all this. You can watch all the sports ball you want, all the channels you want, and hopefully soon it'll be set up where like you said, the pay-per-view stuff.
Yeah, you know what's surprising is when I asked anarchists what they watch most, it's hockey. So like I'm getting a lot of people like really interested in hockey. So there's like NHL Network and all the hockey games, the whatever that hockey setup is. You got each individual game out there and stuff like that. Wrestling was another one. Live wrestling like WWE and stuff like that. I won't put WWE and UFC together. So boxing and UFC are different. Yeah, that's in there as well. So it's got a little bit of everything. Well, 5,400 channels. That's quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, my simple ass only has Netflix, so
Yeah, but the whole purpose of this thing is to, especially if they actually get the video on demand thing working, is kind of to replace Netflix and all the other programs. Yeah,
super down. Fuck Netflix in the eye with a spoon. So I'm super down for a replacement.
Yeah, well, what can you do about it, really? It's just the thing that's out there that a lot of people are offering, and it's just something I dug up, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll try this out a little bit and see how it goes and go on a spin. So, yeah, it's out there. It's supposed to replace Netflix, but right now it's just streaming. So if you need live streaming, sorry. So if you need like your cable needs met, this is what it's going to do at the moment.
Badass.
Yeah. I mean, I've messed around with it a little bit, and it's pretty cool. You can watch, all this stuff. I mean, I got rid of cable. I don't even know how many years ago, over 10 years ago, maybe even longer. And I only use any of the streaming services just because people are nice enough to lend me their passwords. But I don't. I'd rather, as with most things, for me personally, I would rather give my money to a fellow, freedom lover rather than Netflix or any of the other programs.
Yeah, or Comcrap or whatever is out there.
I don't have cable. I don't believe in cable. I think cable is Satan. So anything.
Yeah, cable is kind of the devil. I found myself turning this on, and then I used to struggle to watch my NFL on Sunday, so I would go to Reddit streams. And then I would get all the pinwheeling all the time, and I wouldn't get a strong connection and stuff like that. I'm very frustrated. Here, no big deal. Just click on the game, good to go. And I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Badass. Well, it's about time you showed up with this shit because I'm fucking over Netflix. Stick a fork in me. I'm done.
Seriously. But yeah. All right. So yeah.
Put the link in all the thingy, will you?
Well, no, like I said,
there's no link. It's all underground. You got to go ahead and
we're
not official. It's just more like, hey, maybe we can find this service for you if you want it, and just ask us.
Yeah, like you said, they can message the magazine. They can message me directly. We'll figure it all out. We'll get you set up. Give you a trial run. See if you like it, and yeah.
Sorry about not having the link or nothing like that, but
no.
Create your own little promo. You guys are good to go with it.
Yeah. I love it.
Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of promos, you and I, Jackie, we still have to talk about that. We got to get that ad that Sovereign Tech was nice enough to offer to run for us.
Oh
we gotta figure out what we're doing with that.
For sure. Let's do it.
we can. Well, like I said, we can either make our own, or he said he would be happy to do one for us. So if we just give him the specifics, he'll make his own.
So Brian Sovereign, he wrote the book about the privacy Android thing. What's that called again?
The Dark Android project. Yes,
yeah,
he
Dark
is,
Android.
He is the one who created that, and he swears the newest update is coming soon. But there, it's a lot of work. But he put that out. I think he's on the second or third volume of that now.
Oh, that's
and he's set to do another update too, because like every time a new Android system comes out, because I think they're up to 13 now, maybe. Android 13, I think that's or whatever it is. I think they're up to that now. He tries to update it every time they come out with something new. So yeah, he's the obviously we're friends with Jamin Baconic and the Ghost Phone and stuff like that. But Brian was doing the Dark Android thing, I think even before the Ghost Phones. And it's basically, if you for some reason can't get away and you have, you're somebody who's like an Android only person and you don't want to go to any other phones or stuff like that, he has the definitive guide on how to make that as de-Googled as possible.
Yeah, Jamin makes it like crazy easy though. Like all you got to do is be like, yo, Jamin, and be like, what? Wait, send me a Ghost Phone. And then in the mail, you're good to go. Started rolling with your Ghost Phone. Don't have to do all that extra work of trying to figure out yourself through Dark Android projects and stuff.
Oh man, let's do it. I'm tech retarded.
It's still cool to know what to do. Like that, I love Sovereign's book like that. Like it's just it's cool to understand everything that's in and out of there and what apps to do and what app stores you use and stuff like that. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's handy to have. I mean, like you and I talked about, Henza, you're you have multiple phones. So if you're somebody like, because there's certain things that unfortunately, like certain apps or whatever, that you can only get through the Google Play Store and stuff like that. And if there's like, for me, I'm somebody for work, there's certain apps I have to use that I can't get elsewhere. So the Dark Android might be, if I only want to carry one phone, the Dark Android project might be a better option for me, because I'm somebody, I'm not one of the beautiful people. I've never had an iPhone. I don't ever want to have an iPhone. I've been an Android guy ever since I finally got rid of, like, I was one of the last people to get rid of my BlackBerry. But when I finally did that, I switched to Android and I never looked back. So for me personally, the Dark Android project is probably a little better. Just because those certain apps I have to use for work, like the goddamn tracking app I have to use and stuff like that. What are you gonna do?
I went with the tablet phone combo for work.
Yeah.
So I got the phone on the side and then route everything into my tablet that I need to use for work and stuff.
Yeah, that's just I don't know how you do that. I can't, like, that's just too many. That's too many working pieces for me.
Oh, I know. Give me the other 3 other phones I have for different.
Well, exactly. That's why I'm like, just give me a phone that works and does most of the stuff I need, and I'll use my laptop for other stuff, and that's enough, man. I'm so untechy that enough. That's enough for me. If I start trying to carry around multiple phones, I'd forget which phone is which and start doing stupid stuff, and probably just make everything as unsecure as possible in a hurry anyway, accidentally. So I'm probably just better off.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
So, all right. Well, now that we've been yammering on for almost half an hour, we should probably get into the show itself. So as usual, we'll do a 5 seconds of silence. Start the podcast. Thank you, everybody who has been checking us out in this live stream here with a new format we got going on. And you'll obviously get to hear this whole thing, and we'll be back again afterwards for a little bit of post-show stuff. And tell your friends, because if they missed out today, the only way to get all this stuff is to go through our Patreon afterwards. But if you're lucky enough to happen to catch us live, well, you get all the good stuff for free. So with that, I think Jesus, these flies out here, man, they're driving me nuts. I guess with that, we will get started with the show. So let's give us 5 seconds of silence.
Sorry.
Now we'll do 5 seconds of silence, and we will get started with the podcast in 5. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RtA Radio, the podcast focused on self-care, self-sustainability, and self-liberation. I am your host, Silas Soul, And as always, I am joined by the lovely and talented and making a hell of a lot of noise over there, Jackie Kerouac.
Hey!
Hey. And this week, we are joined by a special guest. For those of you who are viewing at home at the moment with our live stream here, you can see him. We'll get to him in a minute, though. As always, before we get started, this podcast is covered by the BIPCOT No Government License. This allows for use and reuse by anyone except governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org. So, we are back. This is episode 35. No, sorry. This is episode 28 of the podcast, which goes along with issue 35 of the magazine. And this month's topic was strategizing your way towards autonomy, or something along those lines. So we're going to discuss some about that. But like I said, we have a special guest joining us today. And for those of you who cannot see and only listen to the podcast, I will introduce him. Our friend and infamous star of the HBO docuseries, The Anarchist, Jason Henza. What is up, my man?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on the show today. It's really cool to be here.
It's so good to have you.
Yeah, man. This, I was all bummed this past week because I got stuck in California for work, and they just couldn't get me out of there. And then you and I were talking, and you're like, "Hey, man, if you feel like taking a little bit of a drive, I'm just in the state away." So after waiting it out all week and them just not being able to get me a job, I was like, "Screw it." I threw an extra tank of gas in the van and drove out here to Arizona to meet up with you. So, and you were nice enough to get me a use of a shower and some power last night. So it's having you on the show is the least I could do, man. I appreciate, anytime I can not spend money on things like showers and stuff like that, it's much appreciated. So, I don't have to be a stinky person. I mean, actually, and then, right before that, I actually got a chance to visit Jackie, and she let me use her shower too. So, I haven't had to pay for a shower in over a week. This has been grand.
Well, since they're starting to cost about $16 now per shower, yeah.
Oh, dude, it's brutal, man. I mean,
$16 a shower. Are you shitting me? Do you get a blowjob with that?
No, unfortunately, no. At least not the one that I've seen yet. But yeah, when Henza and I started out on the road a few years ago, I think they were like $11, $12, which even that was kind of.
It was like usually $8.
Oh yeah, I think it was even lower, and it was like it was like I didn't care at the beginning because I was getting all these free showers because somebody else was paying for the gas, and they told me they didn't care what gas I put in there as long as I got to where I was going, so like I could rack up all these free showers. Once I started having to pay for my own fuel, it's like, well, their fuel's really expensive, and it's not always the greatest, so I can't get free ones all the time. And yeah, they just slowly started, and it's not like they give you any better service. I mean, I will say that some of the truck stops, it's nice. You get your own bathroom with a sink, shower, and toilet. And usually you can spend as much time as you want to in there and stuff like that. So that's kind of nice versus like, say, using a gym locker room, which is how I started out when I first hit the road, using the Planet Fitness ones, where you get like, you get your own shower stall, but everything else is just like a locker room, so you don't have privacy that way. So on one hand, it's nice, but yeah, they haven't made the service any better. They keep increasing the price, and now, yeah, I've seen it as high as 17 some places. But yeah, it's $16 per shower if you don't rack up the free credits. So
that's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, you can still find like the random one-off truck stops. Like I found one somewhere in the middle of Arkansas one time that I was able to get one for like $3.
Wow.
But it was a one-off place. It wasn't like, it was clean-ish. And you had to provide your own towels. But just I was like,
on the floor, you were good, right?
Yeah, I was like, whatever. For $3, I'll pay this. I don't care. At least I got a shower that day. I mean, I'm somebody who carries around a solar shower with me everywhere I go, but I never use it because it's time-consuming to get the water in there, heat it up. And then fight off the Karens who try to report me for indecent exposure because I'm taking a shower in the middle of a park somewhere. Even though I do it inside I have one of those little pop-up booths, but I've still had people try to report me for like indecent exposure. So it's like, I can't even do that, man. Like I'm trying to care about the climate, man. I'm using a solar shower. I'm not even like using a water heater or like wasting any electricity. Come on here.
They're just mad they didn't get the free show. I'd call and report you too if I didn't get a little show.
Yeah, well,
he's probably right.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, anyway, so That's what I've been up to. Like I said, I was on my way to California. I was able to stop and see Jackie, which was nice. Since although I don't think I'll be going to California again, even if they offer it to me, because getting back out of there has been a pain in the ass.
Yeah, for a reasonable pay rate at least.
Yeah. Well, no, the money getting out here was good, but it's not worth sitting for 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's not even worth it.
Yeah, it's just not active enough over in California to actually get a load out of there. So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm laughing as our friend Jason Booth has joined the chat as well. He's checking us out.
Hey, Jason, how you doing, man? Good to hear from you.
He's absolutely right too, because he's somebody who unfortunately has been stuck in California forever. And he said you could poop on this, you could poop on the sidewalk, but you can't take a shower. And especially up in the Bay Area, you definitely can. You can drop trout if you want, but how dare you get clean?
Facts of life, man. That's what I mean. You got to show a little glory, I guess.
Yeah. So. But anyway, so this, so like we were saying, this episode and issue of the magazine, Road to Autonomy magazine, for those who are joining us late and have no idea who the hell we are, since we are being broadcast to multiple channels, including our friends at Scrambling You. This month's issue of our little e-zine that we put out, Road to Autonomy magazine, is issue 35, and the topic was strategizing your way to autonomy. And this whole thing came about, I think, kind of basically because, well, Jackie and I had started taking a chess class with our a friend of the show and past contributor to Neo Cuellar, who's a chess coach, and I think it kind of flowed naturally from that, because we're learning all about strategies and tactics and stuff like that in the chess class. Or at least I am. Jackie had to bow out already because, work. I mean, geez. Got to make money instead of spending it on one of our friends. What's wrong with you?
I want to interrupt real quick. I'm sorry. Someone is asking how they can interact with the show, like leave comments. And I'm super not tech savvy. I don't have any.
Oh, you know what? Just ask as they come in, right?
Well, anybody who's following along in the live stream should be able to, because I mean, our friend Aaron Tuchix and Booth have both been posting in the chat. If you go to our live, you can also go to RtA magazine. The RtA magazine YouTube channel. If you post comments there, it will link directly to us here. So there's a couple of different options. But if you follow the StreamYard link and you're watching us, you should be able to chat. Maybe you just have to open up your chat function. But I see it on the right hand side. And,
I see it too, but I don't really know, what's Aaron say? The link posted on Facebook was the StreamYard link.
Yeah, I know, but it's linking. It's also linking directly to our RtA channel on YouTube, and Scrambling's Scrambling's channel on YouTube as well.
Okay, I'm super boomer. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to interrupt.
If you post comments on any of those places, it should show up here.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know. We're stupid. Who knows? We're learning as we go. Anyway. But on the topic of strategies and stuff, we actually were talking about this a little bit before the podcast officially started. And Henza, you were mentioning, you have a wealth of experience when it comes to doing things like, actually getting the hell out of the USSA, as it were, and stuff like that, border crossings and stuff like that. And I think we might need you to talk a little bit about that, because that's something that might be able to come in handy, if you're tired of dealing with the, ever increasing inflation and all the other bullshit the state keeps throwing at us here, or just tired about being here in the first place and you want to get the hell out, well, it might be handy to know ways to do that.
Yeah, a lot of people are in a tough situation. They got kids, they have property, they have responsibility and stuff like that. And for me personally, I couldn't stand having the state actually control that much of my life. So I sold off everything that I owned, except for a vehicle. And that's pretty much all they can confiscate for me at this point. I've got everything kind of decentralized and diversified. And it'll be really, really kind of difficult to go ahead and coerce me and take property from me. So it allows me to move freely, bounce around, do what I want to do. I don't have a lot of property, so moving from apartment to apartment is pretty easy. My apartment's only like $100 a month most of the time. I'll walk Mexican neighborhoods that I like, and I'll ask around, for an apartment with a $2,000 or 2,000 peso rent, and everyone starts getting really active really quickly, and they go and find it for me really fast. It's kind of amazing working in Mexico. If you use the internet in Mexico, it's not going to work. You're just going to get price gouged. They're just looking for easy fish on the internet. You got to kind of like go in there and talk to the people. Airbnbs, you're going to look at prices, and they're going to look exactly like the States. You won't see a big difference in that. So, to move and govern yourself, you just have to get away from stuff that they can take away from you.
That is the key, isn't it? Is getting away from things that can be taken away. That's the whole name of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. But as far as, because you're somebody, now you and I have talked about this, and we haven't actually tried it with me yet because I do not have a valid U.S. passport. And we have not tried using my Pasnia passport, which is the only one I currently own. But so I haven't actually gone across. I mean, even though you've been trying to get me across the border for years with you.
Oh yeah.
But as somebody who's done this quite a few times, what's it actually like? Like how difficult is it? Are they really strict? Which side of the equation is worse? Is getting into Mexico worse than getting back into the States? That type of thing.
Yeah, the States is the worst. Coming back into the States, it's a process. They're checking IDs. If you have that magic passport, that magic piece of paper, they'll go ahead and breeze you in. But if you don't, they can detain you up to 48 hours until they figure out if you're a U.S. citizen or not. Going into Mexico, super easy. You buy a bus ticket, they drive you across the border, and then you can go as far as the bus takes you without any documentation whatsoever. They check your baggage at the border. That's about it. Now, there are certain dangers of being caught without a visa in Mexico. Like, you can be detained for up to 2 weeks, and then they let you go, and stuff like that. But, Mexico doesn't have a lot of money to deport you, so they'll just detain you for 2 weeks and then let you go afterwards if you don't have visa paperwork, which, by the way, the visa paperwork is only $25. You go in there, it's basically just you fill out the paperwork. Half of it's in English, so you can read everything that you need to read. You fill it out, and then they go ahead and just stamp it as soon as your passport just gets scanned real quick, and away you go. They don't care about immigration at all in Mexico. They're just like, whatever. You want to come in and just sit around here and all that other kind of stuff? We don't care. Come on in. Spend your money. Mexico's open to you. I know lots of undocumented friends right now in Mexico that haven't been documented, a few of them in over 10 years. So, yeah, you seriously don't need documentation in Mexico. They don't care at all.
That is music to my ears, considering I am not really a citizen anywhere. I'm a free agent, my friends.
Stateless.
Stateless, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The whole. Oh, go ahead. Ask
Oh no, I was just going to say that because no, you go ahead. I had a follow-up question, but if you were going to say more, go ahead.
No, ask the question. It's all
well,
good.
I was just going to say because as somebody who's been there a bunch and you like being down there, because I think it's interesting because I know for me and other people I've talked to, they've thought about leaving the country, but they're like, oh, you and I have talked about this actually, about the fact that a lot of people just like, oh, well, Mexico's a shithole. Why would I want to go there? And you're somebody who has told me on numerous occasions, including this past weekend, we've been hanging out, that the fact that in reality, you're actually a lot more free down there, right? Where like they don't like it's not this. Like, yes, there's crime. Yes, the cartels run a bunch of stuff, but the cartel that calls itself government runs things up here. And it's actually you're actually freer to move around and do so many things down there, right? It's not as bad as people make it out to be. Is that's correct?
Sort of, yeah. A lot of people will make it seem like it's terrible down there, just because they don't quite understand what freedom should look like or what is going to look like if you remove this pocket of safety that everybody lives in here in the States. Everyone's too scared to break the law here in the States. The state's very powerful. Everything's enforced down there. The state isn't very strong, and a lot of people do break the laws. And sometimes bad things happen. and it's up to you. Ultimately, the responsibility is on you to take care of yourself and keep yourself safe. So as far as what you want to do, like there are people building houses with no building codes, not asking any permission out there. Sometimes they just go squat on the land and start building the house because no one's using the land, and no one really owns the land. They have a lot of that going on in Mexico, and it's just freer in different ways. They have laws that are restrictive, but there's no one there to enforce it. And if they do show up to enforce it, they're just looking for a bribe. They're looking for a little bit of payout because they don't make a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's thing, and we have some questions popping up that I'm going to get to in a second. But that's something I always found interesting too, because here you get busted for whatever it is, traffic violations, anything, and they basically want your money, but they make you jump through all these hoops to get it, and it's a huge process. Even if it may sound messed up to some people, but I personally think that that's actually preferable. Like I'd rather just directly hand the federale some money and be like, all right, leave me alone, dude. And have that and let them go on your merry way rather than drag you through the court system or anything like that. And
cut out the middleman.
Well, exactly. If you're going to have to deal with that regardless, like one way or the other, you're going to have to deal with it. I think that for me, I think that's preferable.
Yeah, it's kind of on and off. It's catch-22, right? Like if you're not strong down there and you don't know what you're doing, that cop's going to take everything in your wallet. I've seen it done before. I've seen people hand over their driver's license or passports, and they're like, well, for you to get this back, you have to come down to the station. Now you're isolated away from the public, and they got you cornered, and now you got to go to the bank and remove everything you can for that day to hand it to them. So sometimes the cops are shitbags down there, but if you really know what you're doing, you can basically drive away from a cop and make them pull you over and then get them all mad and huff and puff on the side of the road. And then you could probably drop 200 pesos, stand on it and say, okay, I'm going to go now, and walk away from that $200 peso or 200 pesos, jump on your motorcycle, whatever you're on, and just drive away, and he'll let you go. Like it's just a different world. You got to know what you're doing.
Honestly, it's no different than here, except for, if you go to some court systems, if you try and be a good citizen, a good state citizen, and you go to court without an attorney and plead guilty or whatever, they will throw everything at you, take everything from you here. Yeah. And make an example out of you. So really, it's no different, except for you have no middleman, which I think is way more efficient. I would much rather give the swine directly my money to walk away than have to go through, to Silas's point, the court systems, the hoops to jump through, the record that follows you around forever. Like, fuck all that.
Yeah, down there, I don't think they even have a record system for a license.
What?
So they like the driver's license is kind of like a formality. I don't even think it represents anything down there. I see, 11-year-olds walk into corner stores and buy alcohol and then walk out and start drinking it. So like there doesn't seem to be a drinking age. There doesn't seem to be, any of those kind of regulations put upon the public. They just kind of do what they do. And it's different here in the States. It's like they license your freedom, and then they're restricting you through like these systems of behavior. So if you break this behavior over here, like we have a line here, you can't cross that. They take away a point or 6 points or whatever off your license. If you stack them up, then they go ahead and suspend your license, and they have a well enough system that they can actually enforce that. Down in Mexico, they have no way to enforce that from what I understand. So like, that's my experience in Mexico.
Man, they don't enforce it on me very well here either, because I drove around for like 4 years without a license.
All right. In fairness, you kept driving around and didn't think you had a license, then found out you actually did have one.
Okay, that was later. That was after.
But before we get too far away from it, and actually still ties back in, there are some questions that have been popping out. I think it's one of the Scrambling You guys who's been watching us was asking about, as far as like the restrictions and what you have to deal with and stuff, because you do have personal experience with this. During the whole Kofifi nonsense, I remember you telling me that like everybody down there for the most part was masked, but they weren't really enforcing on you, right? Like you could come and go as you pleased for the most part without having to worry about it, or people would just like look at you, but they weren't enforcing that either, or like the vaccines or anything like that, right?
Well, sort of, right? So any government building that you went into, any corporation that you chose to go to. So like if you went to a Costco or Walmart, they had like security standing at the front door, making sure you had your Cooper Broca on. And normally I just walk right through them and make them chase me around the store for about 20 minutes. So I get 2 or 3 guys to escort me off the property without being able to make my sale. And that kind of forced me into the small businesses. And the small businesses didn't enforce the masks at all. Everyone that I went into, they didn't care. But Mexico was a little bit crazy about the mask, and they didn't actually undo it up until recently, maybe like 6 months ago, when they finally just like let the mask thing go. But yeah, there really isn't like they can't do anything to you other than kick you off the property with the mask thing. And corporations forced you out into the smaller businesses where we want to be anyway. And so everybody down there who didn't want to wear a mask went to the small businesses, and it hurt the corporations. The corporations lost money because and the small businesses did really well. And as a matter of fact, my street went from like maybe like four business on it. Now there isn't a single place that isn't rented out operating right now because all the people aren't going to like all the corporate restaurants and stuff.
Well, I mean, that's vote with your money, man. That's
my whole thing, man.
It's the way to do things.
And that's another thing is like they don't actually ask for permission to open a business up, so they don't have to go ask a council anywhere and then get permits from the health department and all these other departments actually do it. They just open up the business and then they hit the ground running. They just invest their hard-earned money and sweat equity into it, and the doors are open. They start flying.
That's why the tamales are so good.
Hell yeah, man. Well, again, I mean, like you're saying, there's pros and cons to everything, but the more and more I hear about it, and like you said, for somebody like you, it's easier without, you don't have kids and stuff like that. I mean, if I didn't have kids, I probably would have been down there with you already. Like, I probably would have gone and been like, and I wouldn't even cared. I just would have crossed the border and I'm like, if I can't get back, I can't get back. What are you gonna do? Now I'm a Mexican.
For those people that actually do have kids, that have a partner that's amenable and that works with them, and actually they're lined up in the same thought of what they're doing. Puerto Vallarta had a ton of kids come down there with the freedom community and all that stuff, and they actually have like entire chat rooms dedicated to keeping these kids active, keeping these kids educated. None of them actually like go to a government school or anything like that. They're all doing pretty well down there, and they seem to be adjusting well to Mexico. And so for those parents who want to do it, you get closer with your family. There's a lot more on your shoulders to educate your children, but if that's your thing, I mean, pull the trigger.
I'm ready, man. It's just the kid and I. We don't have a number or another, and I'm already educating her at home, so let's fucking do it.
Yeah, there you go. And then if you're savvy enough, your rent will be really low. Like I live in one of the more expensive cities in Mexico, and I pay $150 a month for rent. I pay $10 for my electricity, and my internet I share with my neighbor, and they charge me $5.
Oh, fuck.
That's my fixed expenses. That's it. You don't need anything else in Mexico. You got it all. Like if you want to pay for a phone, okay, you can go ahead and get yourself a phone activated for $2.50. And if you want to actually pay for data, you can pay for data as you go, or you can just get a plan and actually put your identification behind it. But primarily, it's completely anonymous if you just pay as you go, just like it is here in the States.
Badass. My expenses are like 100,000 times that in the States. So I'm getting fucked by like a whole line of people surrounding my building right now. I just have to keep my pants down so I can have internet and Netflix and rent and running water and fuck all that.
Yeah, the insurance on my van alone is more than all my fixed expenses in Mexico.
Fuck's sake. What the fuck am I still doing here? I'm leaving. Bye.
Yep. All right. Well, see you later.
See you later.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I do not have that amenable situation. I don't. I can't even get my ex to leave leave the DPRNY, much less cross the border into Mexico.
Some people like to get anally fucked. I mean, some people, that's their thing, and New York is the best place for that. So I get it. Don't kink shame.
Well, one of the best. Looks like the Renegade Butcher has joined us as well. What's up, man? Long time no here. He's disappeared from our shots lately. I haven't seen him around.
I know, huh?
But he caught us live today.
Actually, I see a question here about drinking and driving. Drinking and driving is Mexico's pastime. I got hammered and had a whole bunch of people in my car and drove like across the Seneca down in Acapulco. And the cops started following us with the lights on, and I just didn't bother stopping. Once I got out of their jurisdiction and got into Diamante, they just stopped following us, and we kept going all the way over to Balmville and dropped them off there. So, yeah, pretty much cops don't really do anything about drinking and driving.
That's my move too, except they shoot at you when you don't stop. Here.
Yeah. They'll murder you to death here if you don't stop for the law enforcement here, the bludge.
100%. Those bludgies are some fucking shit stains, aren't they, in the States? Fuck, dude.
They don't make you get vaccines. Someone asked if they make you get vaccines. They don't do that.
Yeah.
People were definitely very fanatic about it, and they definitely went out and had huge lines with the military to go get vaccinated. So the population, typically believed the propaganda that was out there.
That's typical no matter where you go.
Well, yeah, but it was like Henza said, it seemed to be even more so in Mexico, because I mean, I saw it without even crossing the border, because all the border towns in the States here were like that. Laredo, El Paso, Brownsville in Texas, and then all the border towns going all the way out to California. That's where you have that huge mix of the population. That's where I saw not like not even just the enforcement, but like the willingness to go along with all. Like I saw that more than anywhere else in all my travels across, even more so I'd say than in the DPRNY. Maybe most of the state of California, at least everything south of the Bay Area, or the Bay Area and south. But definitely all the way, down there where all the people are crossing back and forth across the border, they're all crazy. A lot of them are still wearing masks.
Well, because the propaganda is so heavy, they believe it. It's like whenever a story's told, it's told person to person. The most famous person in Mexico, this person's famous. People think I'm famous down there, for God's sakes. They get really excited over fame and fortune and stories, myth, lore, and stuff like that. Like they get. They really repeat a lot of that stuff, and that's probably how it took off and was sustained so well south of the border, was because the propaganda was so strong.
There's some boobs here in Colorado that still wear masks. They still wear 3 masks. You can see the 3 ties around their ear. So I mean, propaganda works. I mean, the state is not the state today because propaganda doesn't work. I mean, it clearly fucking works.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's. I mean, the mask thing just still baffles me so much, because like even the freaking CDC finally came out and admitted, oh yeah, by the way, those things
stop wearing the mask, doesn't work. They said it really quietly, right? Like they put it in tiny fine print on their website.
Right. I actually got into an argument. I had a delivery to the VCU Medical Center in Richmond, Virginia, a couple of weeks ago. And I was supposed to hand unload this whole pallet of freaking IV fluids. So I had to walk into the pharmacy, and they wanted me to put a mask on. And I looked around at everybody. I'm like, wait a minute, we're still doing this? And I'm like, not that I care about them, but even the CDC said that these things are worthless, and you guys are still. And it wasn't like they were handing out N95s. They were handing out the paper masks and saying you had to put these on. And I'm like, and they're like, well, we here at the VCU community have decided. I'm like,
you should have told them that your name was Charles Cullen and you're here to deliver the IV bags. He was a infamous serial killer nurse that injected insulin to all the IV bags and killed a whole bunch of people.
Okay, but to your point earlier, if I mention that in a place where they might know that name, I'm gonna get murdered to death right away.
He's in prison. You're not really Charles. He's super in prison, but it would be kind of like a thumb in your eye.
Yeah, well, all right. I'll keep that in mind for the next time.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to keep that in mind next time. Any hand unload places I go to, they're signing the paperwork first. They make me mad trying to bring it in. I'll be like, I'm going to drop it outside the vehicle. You guys can bring it in.
Yep. Don't take IV bags from Charles Cullen, y'all. Hard pass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I ended up getting away from that because I took the stupid mask and then I put it on and then promptly pulled it below my mouth anyway. I kept walking through. I'm like, I got it on now. Can you leave me alone? And they left
Man.
me alone. But I just thought it was funny that even places in the medical community, even when their vaunted CDC finally comes out and says, "Oh yeah, by the way," I mean, now all these assholes are asking for amnesty. Oh yeah, we didn't know. How could we have known? Don't be mad at us. We made an honest mistake. It's like, no, literally everything we said was true 2 years ago. You're finally admitting. So no, you had
Yeah.
plenty of time. You had plenty of opportunity to figure out that we weren't crazy conspiracy theorists. We were we were the ones actually following the science. So no, you don't get any fucking amnesty.
You know the unfortunate part about that whole thing is that all the Q-tards had jumped on our side. So like our side had like 90% Q-tards like talk about how the masks don't work and stuff like that. I almost can see their side, except for we had so much information and so much time that it just chose to ignore it all for like months and months and months. Actually, years. Sorry, it was pretty close to years. Yeah.
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 So yeah, now they're just like, sorry. I'm like, hold on a second. There's a few vaccine injuries in my family, in my opinion. There's an issue. I mean, you guys literally cost me double. Like everything costs double than what it used to because you guys wanted to push forward with the lockdowns and shutting down businesses and all this other kind of shit that you did to us. Like, no, I mean, come on, man. Like you got to do more than just say we need amnesty. You know, like I'm gonna need them to pay like some kind of penance or something for it.
Something. I want my hot food back from Red stinking ass Lobster, you fucking Nazi cocks.
Oh Jesus Christ! Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that on an episode a long time ago, and poor Jackie got thrown out of a Red Lobster after she had already paid for her food and literally was just going to pick it up, and they refused to let her even. And not only that, she actually had a note from her doctor, from her therapist, saying she cannot wear a mask because of her past trauma issues.
Yeah.
They still refused to, and then corporate at Red Lobster were complete assholes to her.
Yeah, they
Which is
basically told me to eat a bag of dicks, and I was like, "Fucking you first, guys."
which is unfortunate because I mean it may not be the greatest food in the world, but heck, I love Red Lobster, man. Red Lobster and their biscuits. But yeah, I had to put them on the forever ban list after that. I will never go back after that after her experience.
Well, they're going under anyway. You guys don't have to worry about that. In the next downturn, there won't be a Red Lobster.
Well, you know what? They can circle jerk on themselves anytime they want, and I'll be there when they go under, and I'll get all their lobster for cheap.
Limited time only, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well.
Cucks. Still mad about that. My fucking shit was cold.
Yeah, when they first broke out the mask mandates, the very first place was Laredo, Texas. I was in Laredo, Texas, and the guy wouldn't let me in to go to the bathroom. It was like I had to go, and this guy stopped me from going in to go to the bathroom and told me I can't enter without a mask. There's no masks in sight. No one had implemented mask mandates yet. Holy crap.
Yeah. He tried to get himself shot over that one again.
I walked up with my hand behind my back, like when I came back with my like my face completely covered. All you could see is a slit of my eyes, and I marched right up to him and then fling my arm out from behind my back to open the door up. The guy jumped away about 3 feet, and I walked right through the door.
Fuck yeah. I did kind of something similar. I had to go to traffic court during COVID, and I looked like a fucking Muslim. I put the whole headdress on, and people were like, God forbid Muslims are way scarier than COVID. Fuck, dude. You fucking racist fucks.
So now, and I try to tell Henz, I mean, unfortunately, I figured this out after his experience, but I told him there was a much better way to handle that because I had the same experience. I was in Laredo a few weeks later, and they refused to let me go in. And I said, I'm like, dude, I really just have to pee. And they just wouldn't let me in without a mask. I said, dude, if you don't let me in, I'm going outside and pissing on the building. And they didn't take me seriously. And sure as shit, I walked back outside the parking lot. I pissed on the side of the fucking building. Yeah. I'm like, see? All you had to do was let me into the bathroom, man. I was trying not to be a dick, but here you go.
I'll do that too. I'll squat. Man, I've peed all over everywhere. I will hike up that skirt and piss all over you. I don't give a shit.
Just start peeing on the security guard's leg.
Like, hell yeah.
Sorry, man.
Listen, you, buddy.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, gotta switch on the mass tangents. Yeah. No, I mean, if you're going to Mexico, you're not going to Mexico for corporations. Be honest, you're going down there for small business, beaches, kind of hang out. You don't have to wear a mask in those areas. Yeah, I get that there's a lot of people that were all mask happy down there and stuff like that. So just circling back to that last question, it got us all sidetracked.
Oh, it's all good, man. Well, no, because the just the more and more I hear about it, I mean, obviously, as I've said, my situation with the kids and stuff and my ex is a little different. But like in a lot of ways, Mexico does seem preferable, you know, and again, to the point of like, you know, not knowing and being like, oh, I don't know anybody down there, or I don't even speak the language. That's something else you could speak to, because we were talking about this last night. You're saying you still don't speak the language, and you've lived down there like for almost half the year for the past few years now, and you've been done just fine.
I've been down there for about 5 years. I have a girlfriend that only speaks Spanish. So like I barely know anything. I can order food in Spanish. I can give you directions in Spanish now, but like I don't know any Spanish. Like when someone comes up and starts talking to me, I mean, they're speaking a foreign language. I have no idea what they're saying. Okay. Honestly, you don't need to know.
I'm time out. How the hell, like, what's your love language with your Spanish speaking girlfriend? How the fuck do you make that work?
So we use Google Translate a lot, and then we use Telegram to talk. So
which translates for you, which is great. Thanks to that tip that you gave me the other day on how to automatically translate. Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. Yeah, like, you know, everywhere you go, you have translation abilities. You don't have to be restricted by language now, which is really awesome. And my girl's great, man. Like she's fantastic. She thinks just like us, so it's pretty awesome.
That's so sweet. I'm so happy for you that you found someone that you can connect with. And language barrier, get fucked. Like,
yep.
There's technology now. I like it.
I was just gonna say that language barrier be damn, man. You know, we crap on Google all the time, but fucking Google Translate, baby, who cares, man? It works.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of translate programs. You don't have to use Google. Like, it is intrusive. So if you just stick it to one device, you can segregate it away from everything else. So you don't have to put it on your ghost phone or whatever that you have, you know, kind of privacy wise.
That's rad. We got a question regarding pharmaceuticals. We've got.
Oh yeah, I meant to get back to that too. He had asked earlier about the medicine.
Oh, I didn't see that.
There. No, that was my fault. I meant when we were talking about the vaccine stuff, I meant to get to that. He had asked earlier about the medicines and stuff. Like, what's the deal with that? Like, you always hear about, oh yeah, you can cross the border and get cheap medicine in Tijuana or whatever. Like,
we got somebody it looks like on fentanyl, and they're kind of looking on if there's a way to get pain medicine for paraplegics and people that are paralyzed. Is that all legit and kosher and okay?
Yeah, you can go down to a pharmacy, go to one of the smaller ones. Don't go to one of the major ones like Guadalajara or Pharmacia or whatever like that. Go to a smaller one, and then just ask for a certain thing. Sometimes they make you pay the doctor $2.50, which is 50 pesos. To get a consult for it, and then they go ahead and write you a subscription, and then you go ahead and buy it. Most of the time, they just go ahead and sell it to you over the counter.
You heard it here first, folks. Like,
yeah, I think for our preps down in, like, we have a small prepper group, and we got some Oxy down there, and it was sold over the counter for $25.
Shit, that's cheaper than my fucking thyroid medicine after cancer. Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's funny you mentioned that, Jackie, because we were talking about that recently, and like it didn't even click with me that we should be asking Henza, like maybe we could find some of it down there instead of you trying to ship it in from Australia when it keeps getting hung up at customs.
Word, I've had so much medicine like seized by customs, and it's not even like a controlled substance. It's fucking like thyroid medicine, and like customs is like
So if you look for the convoys going in and out of Mexico. Maybe one of the people going in and out of Mexico will bring back your thyroid medication for you.
Badass.
Because they just cross all the time, and yeah, they all drive together in a big group. It's kind of hard to catch them all, and plus it's thyroid medication. No one's gonna like really look twice at that anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, badass.
Well, so there you go, Jackie. Maybe we finally find a solution. If friend of the show and you know. Resident wizard residents can't come up with a solution for you. Maybe we finally have an answer for you.
It's about time, man. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's all the pharmaceuticals work down there. They're not very strict on all that stuff. Especially the smaller pharmacies, the major ones, again, they're going to ask you for a consult and all that kind of stuff. And then you got to talk to a guy who's sitting in a room that looks like a doctor, and you relay a couple of messages through translator, and then he eventually writes it up and hooks you up and all that other kind of shit for it. So, yeah, medication is really easy in Mexico. I haven't seen anything hard yet.
Well, that's I mean that's encouraging, not just for the person who asked that question, but I mean because I think our friend Rayo was in search of that originally before he was trying to find other ways to combat, as he puts it, his so-called diabetes. But like we know a lot of people that are besides Jackie, who has now disappeared apparently.
That reminds me of a Rayo story that I had. Like he went down to Mexico with me.
Yeah.
One point, and I picked him up in Austin. We got to the border, and they flagged us down into the area where we were supposed to stop for customs. And I just kind of scooted right through there as people were trying to wave us into a parking spot and just kept driving through. And he's like looking around, like really worried about us getting in trouble for that. And I like drove past the military out in the street. He's like, "Are they coming after us? Are they coming after us?" Like, "Nah, we're good, dude." Like,
well, I mean,
what are we gonna do now? I said, "Go to immigration and fill out our paperwork." He's like, "Oh."
Well, I mean, again, that's for the uninitiated, man. You hear all these stories and you think, and especially when you've been going back to the point about propaganda in general, when you've been brought up in this state system and like all is the stories you've heard from others, or or the news or whatever about these other places, and then how things work here, your mind goes to that. Like that was always, I mean, we've talked about this, even just trying to go over to have even just crossing the border to have lunch. Like my big fear is, sure, they might let me in, but getting back over might be a pain in the ass. And with Van Doggo and the fact that I don't want to bring my own vehicle in there because, well, I usually have things in there that'll probably set off alarm bells.
Yes.
I'm very hesitant about that. And the last thing I need is to be stuck on the other side of the border in some Mexican prison, even if it is only for 2 weeks. I really don't feel like dealing with that crap,
My advice for anybody traveling with a vehicle and lives out of their vehicle, park it near the border at a storage facility and pay for the storage, and then go ahead and just walk across the border, go to a bus station, and get on that bus and go wherever you need to go. Pet or no pet, you just put it in the storage underneath, and your pet will be relatively safe underneath the vehicle and all that stuff, and they'll just drive you into Mexico.
Badass.
Well, there you go. Tons of
news. That's pretty great. Yeah, like me and Rayo, we had great times in Mexico, man. Great times. Like I even showed them how you drive away from the police in Mexico as well. So that was kind of cool.
I love that. I can just see that happening in my mind.
Well, they kept pulling us over. It was pissing me off. Like my plates didn't match the day that I was supposed to be driving through Mexico City. So like this one cop gets us in really thick traffic, and another citizen notices him, try to negotiate a bribe with us. So the cop sends us off down the road. We get down the road, and then we're completely surrounded by cops, like at a stoplight, and like they're like asking us to get out of the vehicle, and they're asking us to go park the vehicle and this and that. And I'm just like refusing. I'm like, "No, man, I ain't going nowhere. We're gonna sit right here." And then they're like, "Okay, you need to pull around the corner and park in that spot right there." So I'm like, looking, there's nothing there. So I go, "Okay, fine, get out of my way." So I started driving, and then I just took off and just like left them in the dust. And there's like a whole bunch of cops standing around the corner just staring at me driving off. Like I couldn't do anything about it. And Ray was like, "Oh shit!"
I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. So now, try not to do that in Mexico City too much. Those cops, they have a lot of numbers in Mexico City.
Yeah. Well, as with most cases, it's a lot easier to pull stuff off in the less urban or more rural areas than it is,
Mm-hmm.
And there was I saw one other question come up about I think we touched on this earlier. It might have been before you joined us, Bear, about getting back in. And yeah, the problem, as Henza described, is getting over the border is usually no problem. It's coming back in and on the Mexican side, they don't care, but it's dealing with U.S. customs that, yeah, they'll search your shit and they want to go through everything and they want to harass you. And they're looking for ways to get money out of you, but not in the nice, less middleman way of the federales who are just like, just pay us money so you can go through. No, they want to harass the hell out of you and search everything. And we've talked about this on the show before. I mean, I'm somebody who's dealt with this without even crossing the border. You know,
Yep.
I got harassed by Customs and Border Control at one of those checkpoints 30 miles north of the border, just trying to come back north from Laredo to Austin in Texas. And they searched my entire van. They ripped all of my shit apart and left it that way. You know, dumped out all my bins and threw all my clothes all over the place. And yeah, they're the U.S. federales are much bigger assholes.
Yeah, great big. But again, thanks to Netflix, I mean, we were talking about that earlier. I watched another documentary where people were like smuggling huge amounts of steroids in from Mexico with a secret compartment in their car. So, I mean, you just got to be smarter than the state, you know, and you got to have some balls, and you definitely have to have a plan, and you got to have a backup plan. You got to have a backup plan to that whenever you're dealing with the state. And that's for any fucking thing, whether you're driving without a license, whether you're smuggling drugs in, whether you're whatever. You just have to know what the fuck you're doing, and you got to walk like you know exactly what the fuck you're doing. And they can smell fear almost. They're kind of like a rabid dog, the states, you know, the state dogs here. So, I mean, if you look like you're hiding something, man, they're going to sniff you out of a crowd. So you definitely got to be able to walk tall for sure.
Well, it's the border control in the United States is interesting because the major highways, they almost always have their checkpoints open, but you get over on the back roads, they're sporadic. So if you have a lead cart out in front of you and you're just coming in one direction, you can check those checkpoints. And then, you know, if they're there, you just, you know, turn back around, you go back down the road and you go find the next one. On the other hand, like, you know, that's a very risky business. I'd rather be in anything else than smuggling. Like, I don't want to do smuggling. Smuggling's crazy, but like, it's a really big border, guys. Like, I mean, if that's what you're doing, you just need to be thinking about it ahead of time.
Yep. You got to have some plans in place for sure. You got to know what the fuck you're dealing with for sure. I agree.
Well, yeah. Boy Scouts motto: be prepared. You know. So, but anyway, I'm looking at the time, and we've been we're probably gonna have to cut the podcast itself short. So I think we've already been going for about 45 minutes or so. And I always try to say we try to keep the podcast short, but that never works. But is there anything else we want to touch on before we go to the after show? Jackie, was there anything else for the magazine itself? Because normally we talk about the issue that's coming up, which will be, for those of you watching, the newest issue of Road to Autonomy will be out tomorrow or Tuesday? Tuesday. Will be the newest issue. So is there anything you want to touch on that before we get going? Or
I mean, this whole podcast is about strategy, right? It's all about strategy, either moving to Mexico. It's all about strategy regarding language barriers versus travel. And I think this all ties into that. So strategy in chess is really thinking 7 to 10 moves ahead of where you are right now in that present moment. And everything that we've talked about is exactly that. It's exactly planning those 7 steps. And no offense to walking tall, I'm sorry, but you definitely have to think ahead. You know, like, if I do X, what's going to happen? You know, and am I prepared to handle X? And am I prepared to do Y? And strategizing every move, especially when dealing with the state, is super important, whether you're just trying to go to Red Lobster to pick up your fucking order or whether you're bringing back Synthroid from the border. Everything is strategy. And thinking smart and not reactive is something that I have an issue with sometimes. So really, planning your moves is super important. And that's the whole name of the game. That's how to be autonomous, no matter what state, no matter what country you find yourself in. Be smart about what you're doing.
Yeah, here. All right, and before we go to the after show, Mr. Henza, thank you again, obviously, for joining us, man. This has been fun. And is there anything else you want to leave the podcast audience with before we switch things over to the after show?
Taxation is theft. Fuck the state.
All right, good enough.
Here.
All right. Well, with that, on that wonderful note, we will end this show. And again, anybody who's watching live now, you'll get to join us on the post show. But thanks again, Henza, for joining us for this. This has been great. Please do check out the next issue of Road to Autonomy magazine, which will be going live in a couple of days. And for anybody who wants to, catch this type of stuff and all the extra content we do, of course, you can always either contact us directly or go to the Road to Autonomy Patreon page. And all the pre and post shows of all of our shows, all the videos and all the extra stuff we do goes up there. And of course, if you're anti-Patreon, which I know a lot of people are, just contact us directly, either through the Road to Autonomy magazine. If you go to our site, you can contact us directly and let us know, and we'll hook you up and still give you access. So with that, we will sign off. Thank you, everybody, as always, for listening. This has been RtA Radio, and we'll catch you all next time. Love, peace, and voluntary interactions for all. All right, and that's a wrap, man. We're back with the post show. That was fun.
That was so good.
I think actually you might be, Henza, you might be the first guest we've had on an actual episode of RtA. We've done we've done bonus episodes with other people, but I think this is the first time ever since I think episode 2 we did live from Vanu Fest. But since then, yeah, I think it's usually just me and Jackie on the regular one. So yeah, this is pretty cool, man. Thanks for joining us. And I think this worked out really well because a lot of the, we got some good questions, and a lot of the topics we covered definitely fit in with the theme of this month.
Yes.
And it's all good stuff to know, man.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like anytime that you guys want to go down to Mexico and you just need a little bit of advice about something, I'll get you guys set up. Now, Jackie, before you come to Mexico, you got to know if you're documented or not. Coming back into the States is going to be horrible if you're not documented. If you go into Mexico undocumented, like Lily did, she can't go anywhere. She's constantly worried about being deported because she's facing 25 years in prison, all that other kind of stuff. If you're not facing any prison time, the worst they're going to do is detain you at the border and then let you go. But if you have your kid with you, you got responsibilities. These guys are going to fuck up your life as much as they can coming back north. So just a heads up.
I don't even doubt it, but I think if I ever pulled the trigger to go down to Mexico, I would not return because these motherfuckers have tried to put me in a cage for the past 20 years. So, I mean, just for, like theft evasion. So I can't imagine that I would willingly want to go back to that. But, fair point. Noted.
Yeah. Yeah. You're either free or you're not free. And they might think that you owe them money, but realistically, I
don't know shit, man. I don't know nothing to anybody.
I don't have an income, so I don't worry about it. Sometimes I get paid, but that's not income. So like they have to prove what income is to me. So
yeah. Yep.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, that's always been the coming back in has always been my concern. And I although one of these days, I mean, we should have done it while I've been down here this weekend, but like one of these days I'm going to have to try it out because supposedly the license I have is supposed to let me cross the borders into Mexico and Canada and come back and forth without a problem because I have one of those stupid enhanced IDs because I was forced to get one when I moved down to Florida.
No. Oh wait, is that the real ID?
The real ID. Yeah, the real ID with the hologram and the little special symbol on it and stuff. I have one of those because I didn't have a choice. That was the only option they gave me when I moved to Florida.
Colorado also uses
next time
the
I'm
real
down
IDs.
there. But I asked, and they told me they don't accept real ID at the border.
Really? Okay.
They might accept real ID on the flights, but at the border, crossing the borders, they said we don't accept real ID. So I'm going to double check. That's what they told me a month and a half ago, last time I asked when I was there. But again, those guys don't know. Like, they all don't really know the rules.
Yeah.
So, like, some guy just might be just like, no, we don't accept that. Like type.
Yeah, because I would think that since the bigger issue is coming back and of that bigger issue, the bigger issue of that is dealing with the U.S. customs, you would think that
I'm going to tell you how it is going into Mexico. So you go through a gate, and it's like a turnstile that, you know, obviously it's like the fence turnstile that you can't like cross through one way. You can only go one way on it. So you go through that, and then you walk down a hallway, and you turn and you go inside a building, and there's 3 military men standing inside that building with guns pointed downwards. They're just kind of relaxed and hanging out. There's one standing at an x-ray machine. If you're carrying a bag, you put on the x-ray machine, then you walk through a metal detector, which goes off on every single person, so they never stop anybody at the metal detector, and then you're in Mexico. Like, once you grab your bag and you move on, they don't detain you at that checkpoint. There's no name asking. There's no ID checking. They don't even check to see, like, what the hell set off the metal detector all the time. I've crossed that border maybe like 10, 15 times in different areas, and they don't, like, when that thing goes off, they ignore it. And they just look at your bag. And one time they looked at my bag a little bit tighter because I had a tablet in there, and they thought, that's weird. But then they let it through, and they didn't even ask about the tablet. They just stared at it for a minute. And that's it. That's your border crossing for Mexico. Coming into the States, they funnel you into a building. They make you stand in line. They have a whole bunch of people lined up ready to check your passports, all that kind of stuff. They ask you questions. And then if they don't like your first answer, then they start going into a bunch of answers. They don't like those answers, then they pull you off in a side room. Then they put 2 or 3 people on you, start asking you more questions. And that's how it is coming in the United States.
Yep. That's pretty much how it is living in the United States also.
Yeah. It's always like that in the States. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, now everybody understands, like, why I love Mexico. Like, they aren't doing that. Like, I've stood up to cops plenty of times in Mexico. Now, to be honest with everybody there, there is a pocket of freedom because I'm a tourist, and I'm a white tourist at that. So you're going to get preferential treatment, especially if you have documentation such as just your passport on you. You don't have to have your visa, but just your passport alone, and you just hand them a copy of your passport. You're going to get preferential treatment by the cops down there because they don't want to get in trouble for fucking with you. Because if you have a bad time and it gets reported on American TV, then they're in trouble with everybody, like, who knows him. Like, it gets involved, it gets out that he stopped you and he gave you a bad time and all this other kind of stuff. So they don't fuck with you down there as a tourist. They really don't. As a resident, if you're a local, you know, it's hit and miss. Yeah, there are some times that those people get badly abused. To be perfectly honest with everybody, sometimes those cops are really bad.
But again, I mean, that's the risk that you run here too. You know, I mean, 100 people get pulled over for DUI here, and maybe 90 are fine, and 10 get beat the fuck out of on the side of the road. So, I mean, it's a risk you take whenever you're dealing with the law.
Yeah, I just don't want to get any blowback from people saying I'm painting a false picture, because, like, it's very complicated in Mexico. There are pockets that are, like, if you're like in the middle of Michoacan, that's all cartel territory. Like, you're at the whims of the cartel. If they want to take all your shit in that moment, they're going to take all your shit. So, like, Mexico isn't necessarily safe. I'm not telling people, I'm not one of those idiots that, like, it's perfectly safe. The safety is up to you. I mean, I was shot 3 times in Mexico. It's not safe. You have to provide your own safety, and you need to keep yourself out of trouble and all that other kind of shit, just like anywhere else.
Yep.
But you are a lot freer, in my opinion. Things make me happier in Mexico than they do in the United States.
I think the same could be said anywhere. You know, I mean, if you're dumb anywhere in the States, you're going to have a bad time. And you've maintained this even in the HBO series. You've maintained your very sober painting depiction of Mexico, of it is what it is, you know. And if you're not prepared to defend yourself, to protect yourself, to be smart about what you're doing, you know, there's potential for things to go sideways. So I think you've maintained that well. I think it's good advice no matter where you find yourself. I think it's solid, man. It is what you make of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as with anything, you just, you know, even talking about our hypothetical anarchist societies that we kind of want to see, you know, that's the deal. With more freedom comes more responsibility. And
yeah, a lot more.
Yep.
Which
100%.
Which is why so many people are, whether they realize it or not, are actually anti-freedom, because they don't want that responsibility. It's only
It's
it's
yep.
only the few, the proud, the crazy, us, the ones that are like, screw it, man, I'll take it all on. I don't care.
You know what's frustrating about being on a documentary that was so big? They had cut out so many cool things that I said, because I
Yeah.
literally called the United States a nation of children, because most of these people don't want to be responsible for anything, and when they get in trouble, they don't claim responsibility. They blame it on something or somebody else. Like my
Yep.
dad beat me, or my mom beat me when I was a kid or something. You know, like they blame it on something else instead of taking responsibility for what they fucked up in the first place. And you know, it's just, in my opinion, the whole country is like a nation of children. And if you remove that from a nation of children, like this bubble of safety, you're going to get some really bad chaos. And I don't want to break it to the libertarians out there who think that everyone's just going to act fine when they're free. They're going to get way worse if you remove government here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you and I were talking about that last night, like the whole idea of, you know, like I personally used to be a collapsitarian until I took a step back and realized what the ramifications in the current climate of that are. You know, the people like Ron Paul and stuff have been talking about the dollar collapse forever, and it will come eventually. That's an inevitability. But the reality is, in the current climate, if things were like, I used to be one of those people, oh, you give me that button to push, I'll push it in a heartbeat. You know, the state's gone, poof. Yeah, we do that now. There are so many people. And it's one thing to say, oh, I'll be fine because I'm prepared and I know how to handle myself. But, you know, you can't really go it alone. It's really tough. And if everything were to just disappear tomorrow, like most people would just be clamoring to have something replace it immediately. And
Yeah.
that's where the whole idea of the power vacuum comes in. So as much as I hate the state and wish I didn't have to deal with it, I'd much rather keep plugging away and try to find some way to slowly initiate more and more people into these ideas. So not just us, but like humanity has a fighting chance of survival when this all goes to when it eventually does all go to shit. Because otherwise,
Yeah.
we're all gonna kill each other, and it's not gonna be pretty. And you know, yeah, there'll be no, there may not be a state in the current iteration that we understand it, but what might exist afterwards could be a fuck ton worse.
Welcome to the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely think that people who want to opt out should be able to opt out. But
Yeah.
if you want back into the system, you have to buy your way all the way back into the system. It's
Yeah.
not fair to everybody else who's been paying for all this safety and advocating for all these rules and all that kind of shit over the years. So, like, the
Yeah.
sober look at it is, and like, hey, if you don't want this system anymore, you want to walk away, cool. But you gotta maintain that communication of how much you have to pay back in later. And I
I
would
think
love
that's
if the
fair.
state offered that to us. If the state offered that to us, that'd be great. But instead, we're left in a state of subversion, like where we just have to try to say, okay, this is my sweet spot over here. They're going to leave me alone as long as I stay over here, type of thing.
Mhm.
You know, and yeah, it would just be nice if we were just offered not to be tax cattle if we don't want to be.
Man, I would check that box in a goddamn heartbeat. I think the Tuttle Twins, that the kids book series, has a lot of, and I'm referencing that because that miraculous pencil book about how, you know, that the eraser is made in Brazil, and the little metal that holds the eraser is made in Mexico, and then the wood is cut down from California. And I think a lot of people that want to end the state or end the system forget that it takes, you know, just one pencil takes like 4 nations, according to that book,
Well,
just to make a pencil.
well, it's even more than that. But yeah, I mean, that obviously
The
that book.
simplified version, of course, but
Well,
I
no,
mean,
but I'm saying that it's fun. My point was going to be that it's funny because a lot of those people who seemingly forget that have all read the actual essay that's based off of. It's based off the essay I Pencil by was it Leonard Reed? It's one of the Reeds. I think it was Leonard. Who wrote it, and it's all about the fact that most people have no idea what it takes to what's involved into making something as simple as a number 2 pencil. All of
Yes.
these processes, from the collecting of all the materials to the making all the materials the way they need to be, to putting them all together, to the shipping lines that take these places things, even the stuff
Yes.
that and then the stuff that has you need for the shipping lines to function, the trucks that need to be built so they can ship these things around, and the
Yes.
maintenance, like all of this stuff. So it kind of ties into the whole, even with, like, the people talk about kids and it takes a village. It's like, yeah, I mean, independence is great, and survival stuff is great, and being able to survive in certain situations, but the reality is you cannot, like, there's a reason that what is whatchamacallit, god damn it, I'm gonna lose the phrase now, I do this every time. But the fact that it takes so many, like, you can't do everything yourself.
Right.
You do you diversify and let other people do what they're good at, and then everybody comes together. So yeah, that's another thing. If the state collapses tomorrow, and a lot of the situation and a lot of the businesses and everything fail in a hurry, all of a sudden people are going to be doing without a lot. Because sure, you might be able to survive a long time in a hypothetical situation where you grow your own food and you make your own clothes and you blah, 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 blah. But even if you do enough just to do the basics like that, that's going to eat up so much of your time
All of
that
it.
you will have nothing left for anything else. And you're just going to kill yourself in the process.
Yes.
But
Homesteaders can relate to that right now.
well, exactly, and that's the thing that I find funny, is that so many of these people that are all like, "Oh, I hate the state," and the purist types, that they forget this concept, that yeah, if you remove a lot of these lines of production, it's not that easy to survive without them and to start them back up again, and then
Yeah.
eventually you're going to have to realize, oh crap, maybe there was a reason that we let other people do these things instead of me doing it all myself.
Yeah, as our technologies get better, we will be able to overcome these huge hurdles. Like we're able to make a payment from here to there without using a whole bunch of force and security to transmit that payment. So we don't need the centralized banks anymore. We have a blockchain, we have cryptocurrency, we have perceived value, we have a lot of people investing in it, a lot of people working on it. So it's backed by a lot of people and a lot of energy. So at this point, you can look at Bitcoin and you could just say basically it represents energy. So that's a step that we're using right now to be able to do business across borders. Now we got to work on security and transportation and other things like that. And as the future comes, as we envision these things, we'll get better. We will.
Yeah, I agree, but it's going to take some time, and it's going to definitely take people to gather and kind of mitigate some of your losses from the state, as well as benefit from the state. I mean, there are some benefits to having the state. We were talking about that with the different chat with residents from Let's Make Some Shit. She and I were rapping about that yesterday. So it's going to take some time. It's going to just take some cooperation.
Yeah, I agree, and I want to adjust a couple things. I'm able to see the chat a lot better now because the sun started to shift here, and I've been facing it the whole time. First of all, thank you, Booth. Yeah, No Manners Island is the thing I was looking for earlier.
Thanks, Obama.
My buddy Jack has an interesting question I want to get to, but the other person who's up there who said they were a noob, and what are you getting into? Well, at the present moment, you're getting into the after show from the RtA radio podcast that we hijack, scramble, and use whatchamacallit, StreamYard channel to do this. So that's what you're catching. We're having a discussion now about making the world a better place. So to answer your question, but that's an interesting question that Jack posed. Do we think that the current system, like going along the lines of what you're talking about the opt-out possibilities, Henza, do we think it could still continue in its current form if all the businesses shifted to like co-ops? And yes, he made fun of himself after the fact after asking that, which is pretty funny. But like, yeah, like would that cause the system to just collapse altogether, or do you think there could be a way that would still work around those?
A restructuring of a system. Not really sure what the question is.
Well, no, like the question he asked. Do you think exactly the way he worded it? Do you think the system could continue as is if all businesses shifted to being like co-ops?
I mean, do you think my farts would smell like pie if that's all I ate? I just feel like that's like
That's a good question though. Like you have to wonder, can these people, if you eliminate the top, can they actually work together and then continue to move on, all making decisions jointly, or do they just go ahead and all have a vote on the person that they want at the top making the decisions for them? I really want to say we have great examples of co-ops out there that actually function really, really well. Now, can you just take the system and just eliminate the top at this moment? Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
You would probably see a great collapse in the system. A lot of people that would just say, okay, fine, you want to do it without us? And they just throw their hands up in the air and they walk away from everything. And they're just like, fine, do it without us. And that would cause a restructuring and everything, and probably a lot of violence, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it would have to be people kind of funneling towards co-ops just out of personal choice, knowing it's better.
Already,
by cheaper prices or whatever, stuff like that.
Well, no, I agree with that. Yeah, because I mean, I say it all the time. Most people are inherently followers, and and they need, and at the same time, those same people and even more need to see something in action before they'll actually go, oh, like they may not even be able to get to the point of thinking, oh, this might be a good idea. Like they literally need to see it work before they will drop what they know and move in a different direction.
Yeah.
But it only takes a few, it only takes the ever powerful nonstop minority to get anything to change, because most people are followers. So if we can get enough people, and it doesn't have to be half, doesn't have to be a third of the population. I mean, I've always said, since I'm somebody who came to everything I know today through the study of history, historically speaking, it usually only takes 8 to 10% of a population to change that population, that society, whatever it is, the tireless minority. When you have that, most people will end up going along with it. But we got to be able to show them, which is something we've talked about a lot for a long time on this podcast and in the magazine itself. The whole idea of like, it's like we personally, and a lot of us that are, that are in our circles, we've moved beyond trying to proselytize to the public. We're just trying to show people shit.
Exactly.
Like, I could talk to them, blew in the fucking face, but that's why I've been living my life the way I have for the past 4.5 years. Yeah, I've been on the road for over 4.5 years. And I've said it again. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I've never, I may not be as free as Henza in Mexico, but I'm as free as I've ever been, just living the lifestyle I'm living and just showing people what's possible from some idiot like me from Long Island who can learn some shit and then go out and like learn how to fail and pull myself back up again multiple times and just do it and just live as free as possible right now, instead of waiting for the collapse or waiting for enough people to decide that it's time to for a change. Fuck it, man. I'm just gonna go out and do it now.
Yeah, Mexico is a really good example of show me. Can you operate a business without the government getting in the way and make you buy permissions? And can you operate a successful business doing that? And the answer is absolutely yes. Now, the problem is can you get the cartels from leaving the successful businesses alone? At this point, no, the cartels are more violent than the people. The people have been kind of neutered in a sense of not being able to carry weapons and defend themselves and stuff like that. The second a cartel guy walks up to your business and starts asking money, he should just be shot in the street and then go ahead and buried somewhere in an unmarked grave. In my opinion, that's what should happen to anybody demanding you for money for protection. Like, we're here to protect you. Now you got to pay us 10% of whatever you earn. That does happen in Mexico, not all the time. Mind you, there are many, many pockets where the cartel just isn't, and they don't do that. So, but there are a lot of places that are, and it's, relatively, we have to prove that you can just go ahead and get rid of the cartel and bury them in an unmarked grave without consequence. That's the show me part. But on the other hand, you have the show me part of successful small businesses existing without the state help, without safety and shit like that. People talk about the water all the time down there. Oh, well, just don't drink the water. I drink water every day, right? I fill up my water and I go ahead and turn on my tap and I boil it up on the stove and then I make coffee or whatever like that. I go down to the store, I get filtered water from the filtration place for 50 cents. I bring that back home and I use that for my drinking water. Like,
I don't drink the water here in the States. Are you shitting me? Like, fuck, dude. Ugh.
But yeah, like there are a lot of things that we can do on our own without the state. So yeah, the show me part, the follower people, a lot of times they just don't want to work. They don't want to do it. The unmotivated followers, they just rather have everything done for them. So they give you an excuse on everything, like why they can't do it. We're just more of those doer people. Yeah. And we should be left alone to our own devices if we walk away. We really should. We should not be harassed at all. Be like, oh, okay, we recognize you as one of these people. We're going to pull your passport, your driver's license, your ability to own a car. Okay, fine. Take that away. I'll ride a bicycle and I'll find work somehow else. Like, if you want to take those things away, that's fine. I'll pay for them up until then. But like, I honestly think they should leave us to our own devices.
Hear, hear.
Well, no, I'm all with you, but the obvious reason that they won't is because we'll end up doing exactly what we're talking about. We'll be showing people what's possible, and slowly but surely, enough people will start to finally realize that the emperor hasn't been wearing clothes for a long fucking time, and go, oh shit, I can get away, I can survive, and not just survive but thrive without these services, good services, whatever this overarching power over me at all times. So that's why they won't let us just walk away.
I've been getting messages for 20 years thanking me for helping people theft evade. So I mean, it's already been happening, I mean, if you're willing to defend the amount of freedom that you want to see, we will show you and give you every opportunity to do so, but the key word is do so. Like, you've got to do it. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we said it all. I was just reading the chat quickly, and somebody was wondering about the Amish. I don't know exactly where we were in the conversation. We were wondering if the Amish ever thought about it. I'm thinking about the whole just walking away and doing things. They pretty much do. And it's funny, shortly after that, Booth put up a quote from Ben Stone, who himself is a Quaker, and they're another type of people who have kind of like found ways to work around the state for the longest fucking time. So the Amish, the Mennonites, all these people, they in their own way, they have gone and they've been largely left alone. Yep. Because they don't. I think personally, largely because most of them have that religious aspect to it, where the state still doesn't see them as a threat because they know people have to convert to that religion in order to be part of that whole thing or whatnot. Whereas non-secular atheists, whatever, people who are not as tied to it as us, we pose a bigger threat because we can draw more people in, because there's not that extra barrier to entry, as it were, I guess.
Well, you gotta have a spine. You gotta have a spine.
Well, no, but like I said, back to the original point about whether the Amish have. I think they just kind of went off and they kept doing their own thing, and they're like, just leave us alone, man. They were the ones who still, like, throughout it all, no matter where you were with the mandates and the vaccines and all that crap, like they never had to deal with. They didn't have to deal with it. They just said no, and it was like, okay, okay, I guess we leave them alone.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, typically, I think people are just worried about the system being cheated. Like 90% of the people, like, but we made a rule, you have to follow it, you're a citizen. Like, and they really can't get it around their heads that maybe we're not citizens. Maybe we're just free people. Maybe we don't have a state. We don't really care about having a state. And maybe we don't feel entitled to what they have.
Hashtag free agent.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, some of them, they don't want you crossing out. The tyrannical, they absolutely don't want you walking away from the system. But most of them, they just think that you're cheating, and they don't necessarily understand. Like, no, dude, you don't understand. I'm not filing for unemployment. I'm not filing for my Social Security. I'm not going to the doctor with Medicare and Medicaid or whatever you get when you don't have insurance, you know, like we're not using the system in that way. Do we use roads? Yeah, but you also tax us.
Yeah.
Whenever we buy fuel, we get taxed.
That's long been my argument. Like that's the only thing I take from the state. Like that, like, I use the roads, and okay, you know that's not the checkmate most of these idiots think it is, because yeah, I'm forced to pay obscene gas taxes no matter where I go.
Yep.
And when I can't avoid it, I'm forced to pay the tolls for the shitty services on these shitty roads. And both of those, we're told, that's what's supposed to, like we were told, like that's what they preach to us, that's what pays for these things, is the taxes you pay for this particular product, and the tolls you pay, that's what's supposed to be used to maintain these things. So I'm paying for those. I'm still paying for those. I just want to opt out of everything else that I'm not using, and I have no desire to pay for, whether it be, bombing brown children all around the world, or just any other stupid policy, stupid agency, stupid bit of crap that I have no use for whatsoever. And if anything the state does, quote unquote, provide, aside from the roads, which is the only game in town for the most part, I can usually find another option where I would be quite happy to voluntarily hand my money over to pay for that good or service, and not have the middleman of the state involved.
Yep.
So,
I can speak to a sobering situation. I was shot 3 times. My friend murdered in Mexico, and we didn't turn to the state for help. We went to a private hospital. We paid all our bills. We walked out, and we lived with failure. We didn't seek revenge. We realized the value of peace is much more valuable than justice to us, especially in small groups. So we walked away from the state and any kind of state help and stuff like that. That's how hardcore we are. We're serious when we say we're walking away from the state. Most of us won't. Like, I know another guy who was shot who didn't cooperate with the police either. Hardcore. He was serious when he said he's done. He doesn't want that extra protection. You need to leave us alone.
Yeah.
And I think the 3 of us here are just as serious as the situation I lived through.
Yep.
Yeah. And as sobering as that was, I think that might be a good point to end things on, because I'm just looking at the time and I'm getting hungry, man. Have you eaten today? I haven't eaten yet. I need to go get some food.
Yeah.
Just a plate. Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this up. But this has been great. Thank you guys. Henza, thank you again for putting me up this weekend and showing up and doing the show with us. This has been a heck of a lot of fun.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everybody who has joined us for the live show. Some of the great questions, some of the really great laughs. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, for our patrons and all of you who are catching this after the live show, thank you guys. As always, we love you. We started out doing this type of stuff for you, the extra, after show, pre-show, even the video. And the fact that you guys have stuck with us this long, and again, for those who don't want to use Patreon but still contribute to the magazine and the show, and get all this extra content, we love you guys. Thank you. This is we do it for you. We do all this extra stuff for you, so we're glad you're still there, and hope you keep appreciating it. So yeah, I think we'll get out of here. This has been great, guys. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
We'll be back again probably next month for another one of these live streams. But until then, check out the newest episode of Road to Autonomy magazine, which drops in 2 days. Go to rtamagazine.com. You can subscribe for free, and then you can never miss another episode after that issue. Sorry, every time. Thanks, guys. Peace.
All right.